Hi everyone, how are you today? I'll just wait a couple of minutes, refresh my page here on the Essential Stencil page. I'm live with you today to do another craft project. We're going to be upcycling a picture frame that I found at a thrift store today. And I'll also be creating a fun little wooden house sign if I get time. I always have a couple of projects on the go, just in case, you never know. One might just go really quickly. So this is just a little wooden sign. Essential Stencil used to stock these. They don't anymore, but it comes in 3 pieces. But you can find very similar style little houses on Amazon. And I do have a link there. In the description of my live on my I Restore Stuff page, I've got a link for my Amazon store where I've got lots of ideas of stencils, not stencils, stencil things that I use for my stenciling projects. For example, signboards, tools that I might use, ideas of boards and things to stencil on. So, hello, how are you? Robbie's here, Fernando's here, Jean's here, no, Ferdinando. Hello, how are you all today? I am just going to have a look for our live here. And we're going to be doing a couple of stencils today. This one, Country Roads. Now I'm going to be using this side. I haven't used this side before. So this is Country Roads stencil set. It's a 2-pack. Comes with Country Roads Take Me Home and Come As You Are. So with my upcycling sign, we're going to be doing that. But I wanted to show you a fun idea for upcycling a wooden framed picture frame that's got the glass in it. We're going to do some things with it to change it completely to look like something else. There we are. Hi Cassie, how are you going? Yes, how's Olive? Well, Marty's being a puppy sitter today so that she doesn't get caught up under my feet. Oh, he's going to bring her for a feature. Here she is. Oh my goodness, there she is, there's Olive, and she's being a good little doggy today. So I'm going to be using this stencil set as well today. This is a 6-pack. There's 7 in there. There's a bonus, you guys. Essential Stencil will do this often, put a little bonus stencil in there. So this one's got a bonus, and I actually will be using the bonus little beehive. What do you call that? I guess you call it the hexagons of the little beehive in there. So there's 6-pack in that. I'll be doing that with the little house. Let's see who else is here. Over on the Essential Stencil page is where the prizes will be given away. So you want to be over on the Essential Stencil page. If you can see what page you're on in this live, because we are cross-posting to 2 different locations, 2 different pages. So we are live on my I Restore Stuff page. For those of you here in Australia, you can get any of the paint products today from my website, irestorestuff.com. But if you're in the USA, let me know. I can send you an affiliate link for that. Hello, Tammy. Hi, Menanda. Cassie's here. Janet's here. And we love it when you sprinkle our lives out to your friends and followers on Facebook. That would be amazing. This right here I have in my hands. You can see the glass here. It was just a picture frame. It had a picture in it. It was going lengthways this way. We're going to use that the same direction today. But I noticed when I go thrifting to the thrift store, I look for frames like this. And the ones that have this hard backing, that's like an MDF backing, is really good. I took the picture out of it. So you can see the type of wood backing that's on there. You can see reflections on my wall. It's that MDF backing. You can see the glasses there. Then we've got the MDF backing as well. I did actually start, because you can see the back is white, because I've started painting it because we need a few coats of the white paint for my background. Hi Diane, it's your first time here. Congratulations, that's awesome. We love when our first timers come on, say hello. You could be in the chance of winning some prizes at the end of our live, so don't forget to hang around. Yes, Olive is being spoiled, our new little puppy. If you missed it last week, she featured live at the beginning. Yes, Robbie, yep, good idea. Change over to the Essential Stencil page so you get a chance of winning those prizes. You can also, on the replay of Essential Stencil's page of this live, you will be able to go in the chance for a lucky draw there also, if you comment the word replay. But if you can see the little red live symbol in the corner of your screen, then we are definitely live. So with this frame, what I noticed is it has quite a nice thick border around it, which would suit like a farmhouse type style sign. So what I've done is I removed the little string that was attaching the back here. On the back you can see that I'm just gonna, I've pulled all of these little tabs that, you know, keep the thing in. I can see one there. See those little tabs across here? They keep the board in the back of the frame. So I've set all those out. I'm going to pop out the board. So that's the board here. It's a nice sturdy MDF. And so I've started to paint that white. So I need another coat because it is white going on a dark color, and with most paints you do need a couple of coats of that. So then we've got the glass section, and then so we're going to ditch the glass. So I just wanted to show you this though before I do. When the frame was in, the picture side and the edge here is quite narrow, but when you turn it onto the back, this has quite a bit of depth to it on this side. So what I want to use is actually this side to be the front that used to be the back. So this side's going to be the front. Because we've got a lot of depth in there, it really does suit that kind of a frame. But then, you know, we've got all these little tabs in here that you'll be able to see if I don't take them out. So that's why I'm going to ditch the glass, and what I will do, I'll talk it through as we go along. I'm actually going to pop this aside in a safe place so that it doesn't fall. So we've got our board. We've now got a great frame to frame our piece with, but we do have all of these little tabs in here that were helping to hold the sign in. So when I finish painting my sign and stenciling it, I can just pop it in there, and it will actually have a really deep side. So it is a fun, yeah, Evelyn, true. It's a very fun picture frame for crafting. I love to find these ones. I'm just going to pop that in so you get an idea. So what I'm going to do is use this back as the front because the depth is it's so deep there. But if you can see, the front side, which they had as the front, is very narrow lip, I guess you'd call it. So I really want to look at doing that. So we are going to be taking out, so let me show you this part. I've brought my trusty pliers, even brought a heavy duty something else as well, but we'll see. So what I'm going to do to pop out my wood, we'll give it that another coat of paint. But what we want to do with these little tabs here, just have to try and get in behind that. I'm using my handy Essential Stencil tool. These can simply just pull out, I don't know if you see that. These can simply just pull out with a pair of pliers. Simply, I say. There we go. So that's what they look like, is these little things here. Now they do help hold the frame in, but because I'm using this part as the front of the frame, I don't want them to be seen from the front of the frame. So instead of using those to hold my little board in, I'm going to, it does have a little edge on here. I'm just going to put a strip of glue around there, and I could actually even nail it in from the other side if I wanted, since the other side is now going to be the back. And this will have, I admit, it will have a few little holes in it when I pull these things out, but they're fairly unnoticeable. They're fairly minimal, so I'm not really overly concerned about that. So all we're doing is pulling out these picture frame holder inners. I don't know what you call them. Just going to lift that out a bit and lifting them up. Oh, now that one snapped off. That's not what we want, but it is flat enough that it won't be noticeable. I may have to just file that off at a later time. Let's be really careful with this one. Yep, that one pulled out just fine. It's like when you're trying to remove staples, isn't it? And hello, everyone's just jumping on and saying hello right now. I'll just say hello to a few people. Susan's here. What size of canvas did you use? So this, it's not a canvas, this one. It was just actually a picture frame with glass in it, if you missed the beginning of the live. And it is 20 inches. I did measure it, 20 inches by about 8 inches. But honestly, because we're using this sign here, it doesn't have to be that long. I just thought, I found the frame and thought, what can I find that will fit in the frame? The stencils we're using today are 16 inches by 7 inches. So all you have to have is really 6-inch frame. You could, 16 inch. You could go 17 inches or 18. This one's actually 20. But yeah, you really don't need to go that long for some of the Essential Stencil long signs or long stencils. Now the other thing we want to do to prep this piece is just grab a bit of sandpaper. Now it's raw wood, but I feel like maybe it's got a little bit of a coating on it or something. So I'm just going to go over this with Marty. She wants to go outside. Oh, sorry, just the dog's come. She's so good. She's just really being good at potty training. She's wish my toddlers were this great. She just goes and tells us, stands at the door and knocks. So it either means potty time or she just wants to have a good old play outside, the little puppy. So yes, getting used to having a new little creature around the house. Okay, so just giving that a light sanding because we're going to be using this for the actual frame. And what I want to do is probably stain it. And I might stain it in a wood colour, and so that it gives us a bit of a dark frame, or you could do like a whitewash or something. Thanks for the info. We got a report. She went to the toilet outside. Good puppy. She's just going to sit at my feet now. She's adorable. Can't get over her cuteness. Now don't forget the outside. We won't really need to do the back, which used to be the front. So remember, we're reversing this picture frame if you missed the beginning of our live. We're upcycling a picture frame. And then I'm going to stain that with a bit of a wood colour. Could even do a sort of a whitewash on that. Oops, just being careful not to step on a dog. Okay, so now that we've scuff sanded that, it's at least keyed the surface a little bit so that we can add a stain to that later. So I'll just kind of let that dry a bit. And then we'll paint on our second coat of our board, which came with the canvas, the picture frame. Came with the picture frame. So there we go, we've got our nice frame all sanded back, ready to go. Let's just go on with this. And we've got I'm using Picket Fence. This is Fusion Mineral Paint's brightest white. And so I'll be using that. I've got 2 coats on here, but because it's quite a bright white, often you'll need 3 or maybe even more, depending on how dark. See, that's the original. That's how dark our backing board was for our picture frame. Hello, Elizabeth. Hi, Annie. Joyce Ann's here. Maggie's here. You love that paint? Yeah, I love the Fusion Mineral Paint too. So if you do want some Fusion paint and you don't have a local retailer, please feel free to use my affiliate link. At no extra cost to you. They will ship it to you. And it's just a little way of saying I get a very small commission on any that use that link. And it's just their way of saying thank you for sharing our product with your viewers. So that's always lovely. Okay. So we've got nice long smooth strokes for our backing board. Just a nice plain simple white background. Oh, you might be able to hear the little tinkle bell. I don't know. It's a cavapoo is a Cavalier mixed with a poodle. We call them cavoodles over here in Australia. We've got Cavalier mother mixed with a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel mixed with a poodle dad, and our little pup is a cavoodle, we call them. So maybe they call them a cavapoo over in the US. I'm not sure if that's the difference, but all right. What I was going to say is if you hear a little tinkly bell, we had to get her a cat collar with the little bell on it. She honestly, she's a similar colouring, in the night time, she's a similar colouring to our flooring. And she just gets in amongst your feet, trying to chase people, chase your feet around, to follow you around. So we didn't want to step on little Olive. So we got her a little cat collar with a bell on it so we can hear where she's at. Now don't forget, for our stencils today at Essential Stencil, use my code IRestoreStuff, save 10% off anything at Essential Stencil. I will dry this off a little bit. Yes, and as Sue says, the stencils really are very durable. The brushes are great as well. Yep, you can use that same code to get your Essential Stencil brushes. They come in a set of 4. And so 4 different sizes that you can use for all different size stencils. And so the stencils are made from mylar, are really strong, sturdy. You can just wash them off, wipe them off with baby wipes, or just wash them with some awesome spray if you've got a paint like Fusion that sticks really well. It sticks well to everything. It's actually a furniture paint, but I use it for my signs too. So Robbie's asking, how big will she get? I think they're this one properly, they've estimated she'll be about 5 kilos. She's probably about 1 and a bit kilos now. She's such a tiny little thing. And so she was the smallest in a litter of 9. So she has, there's 9 little siblings in their little pack, and they've all gone to their little homes now. And I actually know some of them, so we'll be having puppy play days with those ones as well. Thank you so much for sprinkling those people who have shared our live. We love that. So I've got that all dried now. This is the backing board. If you've just joined me, we're upcycling a picture frame. One of my favorite things to do. And I just kind of look around at the thrift stores and see what would be a suitable frame. The best ones I find, just make sure it's not a cardboard backing, or it doesn't have a picture frame hook in the middle of it that you have to tear out, or that might have, that makes it difficult to use as a backing board in the way that we're doing it. So this is MDF. I mean, it's a bit, you can sort of flex it a little bit, but it's quite sturdy and strong for the backing of the purpose that we're going to be using it for today. So the stencil we are going to be doing is called Country Roads. You can use my code IRestoreStuff for 10% off. Oh my goodness, Christina is watching from the cruise ship on the middle of the Caribbean. I'm jealous. Oh my goodness. Oh, one day I may go on a cruise. Because for my 50th, a few years ago, we were planning on a cruise for my 50th birthday. We had the deposit. Well, it wasn't a big deposit. We only just had a hold on the ticket price. You know what happened a few years ago. COVID happened, the lockdowns happened. We were due to go in March. We were kind of like umming, ahhing, do we, don't we? 2 weeks to flatten the curve turned into 2 years. So, never did go on that cruise, guys, and now I'm even less wanting to because of all the sickness that comes on the cruise. But I'm glad you're having an awesome time. I really would love to go on a cruise. I still would love to go on a cruise. Maybe I'll do a little one here in Australia, off to see some islands. Okay, so we're using this one that says "Come as you are," and I just want to do a nice bold black typeset on there. We can use some painter's tape if you like. I might even just use that because sometimes on the edges here, the letters, the stenciled letters, let me just pop you down a little bit so we can see the project a little better. There we go. So sometimes the stencils, like this letter E, it's not too close to the edge, but it's a little bit close to, if I had a big brush, I may brush over onto the edge of here. So ideal would be to put a bit of tape on there, but because I've just painted that surface, I want to put I just put it on my apron and then make it a bit less tacky, because that will still hold the stencil in place, but it'll be less tacky on the paint so that it won't tear your paint off too easily. I've not really had too many issues with that, but. And now again, the letter C over this side, we're just going to grab a bit of tape, And you're getting a little bit of lint on it from, or you could use, you know, your hand, your palm, just getting some little specks of dust or whatever, and onto here, and it will help. Joyce Ann, you've been on several cruises. Never disappointed, never got seasick. That's amazing. Yes, I'm fuzzing the tape. There's a great word. Thanks, Joan. I'm fuzzing the tape. So we just make it less sticky. Okay, we could use our large brush. I might go for the next largest. This is a 3/4 inch brush, and I'm going to be using Fusion's Coal Black, which is almost run out in my little pot here. The other thing that we do need is a offloading piece of cardboard. I'm just removing these little staple tacks that we took out of the sign. So this is my cardboard where I'm going to just offload my brush. So if you're new to stenciling, let us know in the comments. Let us know. Brand new to stenciling here, never stenciled before, any of those things. Oh, we've got some cruise stories coming. Oh, Rhonda, I'm glad you got out of that. Okay, if you're wondering where the cruise stories are, I think they're over on the Essential Stencil page. I'm cross-posting 2 places at once today. So we're on our I Restore Stuff page, which is my page where I upcycle furniture and home decor. This is the home decor part of that I love, is stenciling signs. All right, so see I've got a bit of a blob of black paint here that I'll use later, this little blob here. I've left it there, but I've taken the brush out and got it all in the bristles, but see how it's quite dried? It's not too full of paint, because we don't want that paint bleeding under the sign, okay? So we don't want it bleeding under the stencil and causing fuzzy edges. So we fuzzed our tape, as someone mentioned before, but we do not want to fuzz our stencils. So we're avoiding the fuzz on the outside lines of our letters today. And I can do that swirling motion that you see me doing right now because I have hardly any paint on the brush. If I had my brush any more loaded with paint, it could just be a little bit too much and go on under there, so I don't want that. You could do any colours you like to suit your home decor, so it's just a matter of picking a colour that would suit and going for it. Even the background. The other thing I've done is a black background with white paint. Looks really nice in that sort of farmhouse style. You know, as much as I feel like farmhouses going out and phasing out, there's still people that are buying these signs like this. So see, there's an example of the black background and the white stencils. I actually stenciled this using Essential Stencil's letters. So if you look up the word letters, and you'll be able to find these. They're like a Ray Dunn type font, whatever they use for their styling, their decor stuff. Yeah, so you'll find that on Essential Stencil's page as well, or on their website. And don't forget to just use the code I Restore Stuff. You get 10% off anything in the shop, not just what we're using today. So Robbie says try a cruise, you'll love it. I should one day. I'll put it back on my bucket list then, guys. You've convinced me. I'll put it back on the list. So I can see the swirls in this as I'm stenciling. So it may need a second coat to kind of give it a bit more, or you could sort of leave it as a partially done stencils. For some of these large letters, we can do that across, you know, going up and down the large strokes of the letters. This is so far down in the pot, I can hardly see it. I'm going to take that big blob and put it there again and offload the paint, and here we go again. So I'm just going from the ends all the way across. Let me just lift that up and show you a little closer. I kind of like my zoom in. So you can see some of the strokes and the swirls in the painting on the actual white background. So that's what I mean by you may want to go over this with a second coat, and that'll just make it a little bit more solid. Whoop, that one I feel like I had a bit too much on my brush. It may have gone under this little bridge here. So the other thing is we do have bridging brushes, or detail brushes they're called, and they will fill in those little bridges that we use to hold the stencil in place. So that holds, for example, these little bridges either end of the O hold that circle in place so that we can stencil around it. Otherwise it would just be a great big round circle with no center in it. So to create the O we need those bridges. Okay, so that's all done, but I feel like we could do with, and I'll lift it up to have a look. Oh, I've got a little smudge of black just flicked over. So I'll take this off just to show you, and we'll decide, hey, whether we might need, so we've got nice crisp edges, and we didn't do too badly with that M, but see how you can still see some detail and some lines and some swirls and some strokes. Same with if you chose to use the stippling method, so that means, or pouncing, that means going like this on your stencil. I find that we don't get a full coverage by stippling, so that's why I do the swirling. So let me just show you the difference on this piece of cardboard. If I'm stippling like this, it takes me lots of pounces to get that much. But if I'm swirling, see how much comes off just in a simple swirl. So as long as you've got hardly any paint on your brush, hardly anything, see it feels like I've got nothing left on the brush, but when I swirl, I can still get some more on the brush. Stippling, not so much. I'm having to do lots of pounces to get even that much. So you can sort of see the difference, but you'll get a feel for it if you're new to stenciling. Give it a go. I'm just going to give it a quick hit with the hairdryer so that we make sure that it's completely dry before going on with our second coat. So I feel like swirling's better, yeah, but you might feel stencil as I sail. I love it, Christy. Thank you. Yes, I'm thinking, hey guys, I'm thinking we need a whole cruise ship of stencilers. We could create a stencil event. Hey, let's just whisper that to Essential Stencil. How about we do a cruise stenciling event? Wouldn't that be fun to craft and stencil all together on a cruise ship? Stencil as I sail. Yeah, I like it. All right, yes, so that swirling method, I do like that. We're going to add a bit more paint to our brush. We do have a bit more here on the board, so let's use that. So I'm rubbing it all into the bristles, getting it all dried, and then we just have to do it this part. This part will go on super quickly, but I'll show you the difference between the first coat and then the second coat. From a distance, it did look okay with that first coat, but I'll do all of these and then I'll show you. When I get up to here, you'll be able to see a bit more of a difference when I lift it up. It's just giving it a more solid coat. So that's all you have to do, is just to make it dry first. So just watch the top of this E here. And I'll show you the difference. So look at the top of the E versus the bottom of the E. You can see how now we can see it's really got a lot more solid coverage. So over here I've finished a second coat, and over here is the first coat. You can still see a little bit of blotchiness, a little bit of patchiness. So if you're really wanting a full solid coverage, get that second coat on there. But make sure the first coat is completely dried. So that's a big tip, because sometimes that if you try to do a second coat too early, it will actually remove some of that first coat, depending on that underneath surface of what's underneath it. So, yeah, it's a bit of a tip there. So if you do feel like, oh, I'm doing my second coat and it's kind of feels like it's pulling the first coat back off, that's probably why. It's just you haven't allowed the stencil to dry properly, completely. Now I'm going to probably do a bit of a stain on this board. So if you missed it earlier, this is from a picture frame. So I've taken the glass out and this was the front. I've now flipped it to the back because there's a nice deep edge here that would work perfectly for this style of a sign. Sort of that farmhouse industrial kind of look. But if you did want sort of an old weathered stencil, then you can just either sand back when it's completely dry, just give it a bit of a rough sanding, or, looking for the lid, or you can just sort of leave it half done, like one coat with then a bit more sanding, gives it a rough look. So I'm just popping that in a plastic bag so that my black paint doesn't dry up on the brush. And we'll take that off and have a look. We should have nice crisp edges. Yeah, Rhonda's saying you learned if you don't dry the first coat, it lifts the paint. Yeah, frustrating when you first started, exactly. So yes, that's why we give you these tips so that you don't make the same mistake we did, but sometimes I still make mistakes. When people have told me and they go, oh, that's right, they did tell me that would happen. Okay, moving my brushes aside. So there we go. I've got a little fleck of paint that's accidentally got on my white there. So what I can do is just, you know, touch that up with the white, but you can't probably see that from there. So that's nice crisp edges. That's how you get nice crisp stenciling edges. If you don't have these already, these are the detail brushes from Essential Stencil. They come in a set of 6. You can also use my code I Restore Stuff to get all of these at a discounted 10% off. They come in different sizes. There's short ones, longer ones, pointed ones, more flat. So you can take your pick. And if you wanted to, you don't have to do this, but if you don't like those little gaps, you can grab your brush, detail brush, and just go over those little gaps and you can fill in those bridges. Can you see the tiny bridge lines there? You can fill those in with the detail brushes. They are so handy. Plus, you can use them for all sorts of things like, you know, artwork as well. Okay, popping that aside, and let's go on with our frame. Oh, I may not even get all my little bee stencil done, the one that I was going to do over here. I'm going to use some Woodwick, which is a nice brown colour. Just see what that stains up like on the outside of this. You can see some sanding dust just in there. I did wipe it down. Oh, I didn't bring my... I'll have to use this wet cloth. Maybe I'll use a dry one. Just want to use this as a stain type paint. Instead of brushing it on, I'm going to just wipe it on to the wood. Whoops. So I've got a good chunk of brown paint on here, and I'm just standing up so that I can see this better. And we're going on the outside. So it's giving it sort of a more tan, more uniformed look. And we can still see the nice wood grain through there. So let's go, this is actually the back of the frame. It's almost a, you could even use a bit of a white mixed in with this and create like a bit of a different colour wash. So it's a subtle difference, but I do like that. Again, over here. It's almost, I don't know how to describe that colour. Maybe more oak. The frame is pine, but it's just giving it more brownish tones than the golden tones that are on there to start with. Uh-oh, it's a little fleck of paint again. That's just off the, I'm going to have to touch up my board here. There we go, it's just wiped off nicely. That's the problem when you paint white. Okay. I got that side. Okay, so going across again. Nearly finished. Could add some texture to that with a bit of white dry brushing too. That's a technique I've done before in some of my lives. All right, there we go. Now we are going to see that inside also. So we do want to have that same stain colour on the inside of our frame. So I'm going to have to, just wiping off any excess. A bit tricky to get into the corners of this, so I could use a brush to kind of get into those corners. Staining as we go. So Essential Stencil has popped the link. That's my link that you'll get, and it should automatically put the 10% off using my code in the checkout. That link is there in the pinned comment on the Essential Stencil page. If you're watching on my I Restore Stuff page, all the links are in the description of the live. Okay, last one. This little section here. Wiping it on. And just wipe off any excess. What you can do, another method of staining using this method, is to use, if you've got too much on, you can use a wet cloth to wipe off excess. But you could use a brush to paint it on and then just remove any excess. I just find that I use less paint doing it this way. So yeah, I like the way that's turned out. So it's a little bit different than that's the original there, and this is a bit of a shade of difference. Okay, so that is going to look great with that sign popped in like so. So what I need to do now, this will be my finished frame, is I'll put a little bead of glue just on that edge. See, there's a tiny, tiny edge right there, all the way around, and that will help to hold this in. Probably might need a staple or two, but then I've got a perfect little framed come as you are. So that is completely flipped from what it used to be. This was the original. This is the front with a picture inside. It was a picture frame I picked up from a thrift store. But now, see that depth in here is a really nice frame. So there you go. There's one project. Let's see how far I can get on our little buzzy bee sign here. We've got 20 minutes. We should be able to do something in that time. I might even use that same stain to create some stain look on the house here. The bee house. Now this is the Bee-you-tiful 6x6 stencil set. There's actually 7. It says 6-pack, but there's a bonus stencil in there. So I'll go through those ones. First I'll just create something here. It's actually a little wooden house. Essential Stencil used to stock these, but they no longer have them. But you can find similar in my Amazon link, which I've popped into the description on my I Restore Stuff page. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to add a dab of water from my water tub here. I've got all that brown paint on here. I'm getting it all over my hands, but I want to create a stain. Maybe we'll create the stain on the front part of here, and then we can, although I did like, yeah, we'll do the stain first, and then we will do some black. So I've got some wet paint. Woodwick is the colour. And I'm just going to quickly stain that. It's quite light, but it'll give it a nice background to start with. I'm going to add these bits. Now remember, the top is where we're going to be gluing this rooftop on, so we really don't need that to be stained. If you could also use this as a double-sided sign. Always get your ends as well. A double-sided sign. So if you did want to do the back, you could also stain the back. That's a super quick stain, and it's gone on really super quickly because I've wet the cloth where I had that colour. So it's just created a really subtle change in that colour. Now that I've done both sides, and I need both sides to dry, it's very subtle. We are going to use some black and some bees and beehives. Let's see if it stands up on this end. Oh, it does. See, I haven't painted that side that it's standing up on, so that'll be good. All right, let's see. We could paint this one solid. Let's do this one black, because I am going to be using black on this. You could paint it solid, or we could just do, again, some subtle staining using the black. Now I do have a little blob of paint left over from my sign that I just did before, so I'm just going to use that first, see how we go. This is the wet part of the cloth where I have the brown stain on, but that's okay. I don't mind that there's brown stain on there also. We're creating as we go. Yeah, Vicky says, I like it when you've got some colour but you can still see the wood grain. That's right, that's what we call staining. And this is actually raw wood, so it sits into the grain really nicely. That's what staining does. As opposed to if there was a varnish or something on this, you wouldn't be able to stain sort of that way, because it wouldn't go into the grain, it would sit on top of the varnish. I'm just going to do under here, even though this is going to sit on top of one of the edges, some of that edge, it will stick out like an eave, like a house eaves. It'll stick out over the edge. So that's that one. Set that to dry. We've got another bit here. Okay. I've caught a bit of something on the side. That's okay. Oh, this one's a little bit too dry, so just going to wet that again. It's probably going to come out a lot darker than the other one because it wasn't as wet. That's okay. I'm going to get this all over myself. That's okay. That's the top. We need to do the end. Did I do the end on this one? I didn't. We will see the end. So because I've sort of, that one's a bit darker, you can see the difference. I'll just go over this one more time. Nice. I love a good staining. All right, all stuck to me, got paint everywhere. And this one's just a subtle difference, but you can see then that this, the black stained roof will turn out nicely sitting on top of that, like so. Okay, so with our stencils here, let me show you what ones we've got in here. Now to put this together, I put a bit of glue there. I'll go through that at the end if I remember, but if I don't, here's the thing. I put a bit of glue there and a nail gun. Staple it in, or a long staple gun. Okay, so this is a 6-pack set with the bonus 7th one in it. I am not sure, but I think this one only had a limited amount left as well. So if you did want the bees, such a great fun all year round type stencil, I think. Bee inspired, very cute. Let's see, next one we've got is Bee Sweet Like Honey. Then we've got this one, which is the bonus. It's got some bees in it, and I thought I'd use that in some areas on this stencil. Then we have Home Sweet Home, and I will use that as my main feature stencil on this one today. Oops, there's our little instruction booklet that comes with every set of stencils. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Okay, honeybees and flowers, please. Very cute. And Bee-you-tiful, which is the one that the stencil set is named after. And then the last one is these gorgeous bees flying around. So you can see how you could use a combination of all of these. You know, you could have some bees. You can tape off bits and pieces from parts of the stencils. If you watch our lives, I show you how to do that quite often, is combining stencil sets to create other ones. Okay, so that's still drying. I'm going to leave our roof over here somewhere. Yes, Michelle, you nearly ordered this set the other day. So Essential Stencils just pinned this one to the top of the page there. So here is our cute little bees, and I'm going to use that black brush that we had earlier. We're going to use a combination of blacks and yellows to just kind of create some subtle effects. And again, this is one of those projects, if you've seen my lives before, I'm just really honestly winging it before your very eyes. We do this together, don't we? Don't we, team? You tell me, yeah, that didn't work. Yeah, that worked. Oh, that's lovely. Or, yeah, probably didn't work. Don't do as Sharon does. So we've got the black brush that we were using earlier. I'll get my black paint ready, and I do have some yellow paint here. This is Little Star Infusion Mineral Paint. If you have not used their paints before, it is a furniture paint, but it works great for signs because it sticks really well. Okay, we've got our offloading board over here again, and I'm just using quite a dry brush for this one because I just want some subtle movement in the background of the bees buzzing in the, what do you call this? Honeycomb, the little hexagon things. So I'm not going to be doing the whole lot, I'm just going to do a bit of a corner here and just swirling. I really want to make sure I've got hardly any on the brush. And I'm just going to do a light swirl. I can always do more if I feel like it needs more. See how that's just super subtle, really subtle on the corner there. And I've sort of feathered the edges. Bit of a feathered edge there. So just move somewhere else up the board. Maybe over here in this corner. We could create a bit of a corner here, going right up to the roof if we wanted to. How about that? So I'm not going to do all of it, we'll just do some of it. Nice and subtle. We don't want to use too much pressure. Get one little bee in there. And there's another corner. So we just kind of do use that on diagonal corners up there. And that's the black. Not sure if I want to add more to that. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll add a touch of yellow, but because it's, should I use a different brush? Maybe I will. I'll use a different brush, and then we'll use some, we may do this in white so it really stands out. And then we'll use some yellow, which is just like a black, white, yellow theme going on here. Doing it as we go, figuring it out as we go. I love the little bee too. It is. Yeah, Donna's saying she loves the hive stencil going off the edge of the piece. I do that with a lot of the pattern pieces or things like that. They work really well in that way, going off the edge. So I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow on my brush. See that blob there? Then we will put it over here. And I want to just, it probably will mix a bit of the black in, but I just want a really subtle bit of black there. And I'm only going to put it on certain parts, mainly around where the bees are. So let me find where this bee was, placing it exactly where it was. In fact, you could create a little bit of a shadow if you wanted to, but just in the bee areas, I'm going to subtly bring that yellow in. That didn't work quite as well as I thought, so what I'm going to do is make that a bit brighter and just use the yellow. So it looked a little bit too muted. Add some more yellow on my brush. Maybe I'll just speckle it a bit. Let's see how that turns out. Nope, still not great. Probably because the background here is a bit of a light tone, similar to the yellow in the bee. It sort of makes it disappear. Let me see what you think. See how the bee just kind of disappears now from that corner. Maybe I should just go over it in the black again. Well, let me try up here with that shadowing technique that I was talking about. Now, when you're shadowing, you can... Oh, now I've lost my place. I turned it sideways, didn't I? No, that's not the way. Oh, wow. Where did I put my bee? Here it is. That's the way. So with the shadowing, we shift it slightly to the left, slightly up. And that way we should hopefully see a bit more of the bee underneath. Let me see what you guys are thinking over here. Poor bee, he's disappeared. I know, Robbie. Poor bee. Use the brighter yellow. Yes, I think we need to do. Or shadow with white, Gina says. That's a good idea too. So I've lightly shifted this. Let me just see what happens when I do my bees in that brighter yellow. Yeah, I think that turned out a lot better. They kind of stand out a little bit more, but it's not till when you see them close up. Look, I haven't even put my feature stencil down to have a look how that might look. This is what I'm going to use over the top. Oh yeah, it'll still fit. And we do have another couple of bees in there. Just going to go over this guy down here again because maybe we'll make it a shadow. He wasn't standing out. Needed some brighter yellow on there. Where's this one on the corner? Don't want him to miss out. So remember, this is just part of the background. So it's okay if we've got a subtle look in there, but yeah, practice on some cardboard. If you have an idea and you think, I'm not sure if that's going to work, don't want to waste my nice block of wood that we're using, then you can use some cardboard to practice on. And that's with your stenciling technique also. I think we need a nice solid black on here. But what I might do is add some white first. So let's pop the yellow into a plastic bag in case we use it again in a minute. And I'll grab that picket fence colour, white. You're loving it? You're liking it? Oh, great. Thank you so much, guys. And pick another brush. You can use this one. This is the 5/8 inch brush. Could use a smaller one if I wanted to. I do have an edge here. I've got to just be really careful of that. But if you were not, if you were concerned about the edge, please tape it up like we did with that other one. In fact, I've probably got the stencil. Where did I put it? Sitting here, where I could just use that tape again. Oops. And just tape that down the bottom. Okay, here's the white. I'm just going to offload that on my cardboard. This is going to be a bit of a shadow underneath because I don't think that it's going to stand out very well. Oh, I just had this panic. That is right way around, isn't it? The words. Let me have a look. Home sweet home. Got it. We've got this. All right, so we've got a little bee down the bottom. Oh, there's a door. Sometimes I look at the stencils but don't really look at them until I'm actually stenciling them. And I can see there's a little archway for the door of the bee house, so that's very cute. Add some more onto my brush. So we're making this the background, but because now we're sort of stenciling over the top of those little honeycomb patterns on each of the corners, it'll sort of make this layer of white stand out in between the black and then the white, and then when we go over the top of this whole stencil in our finished colour, which I think has to be black to make it really stand out, the words. You could do it any colour, but it's really, when you're stenciling, it's good to have a really good, strong, contrasting colour from your background so that the words actually stand out. So for example, if I've got a white background, I want the black words on it like we did earlier. And if we want or we could use the, we've got a light background here, so I am going to do a finish with the black words to finish. or you could use like a midnight blue or a charcoal grey or a dark green. You could do any number of colours. Find something that suits your decor if it's going to be in your home. Susan, you've got bees in North Dakota. They sting you many times in a row and they don't die? What? Yeah, I thought that was the deal, that the bees would die once they've stung somebody. That's interesting. I wonder if that's a certain breed or something. Certain species of bee. Okay, we've got all of the white now. And you know what? I'm going to have to clean this off if I really want that black to contrast on there. So that's cute. That actually does stand out nicely, doesn't it? We could just leave it just like that. Oh, what do you think, guys? We could leave the bees just like that. I think I'd want to add a bit of yellow to these buzzy bees. Let's see, should we do black with the white shadow, or should we just leave it white? Anybody, let us know in the comments. See, this is what it will look like once the roof is on. That gives you an idea. I think I should just leave it like that. I think it stands out nicely. Maybe add a little subtle someone says, I like it. Yes, beautiful, looks good. White. Looks good. White. Everyone's thinking it looks good white. So maybe we'll just leave it like that. Let me just add this little bit of yellow to those bees. Oh, I did have some yellow on here. So these bees here, 1, 2, and 3, and add some yellow. And we can make those a bit of a shadow to start with. Yes, I'm thinking the same, Michelle. Yellow shadow on the white bees. That's what I think too. So let's go with that. Shifting the stencil slightly when we want to do shadowing. And if you wanted to, you could tape off that section there. I'm just going to try and be careful with where I'm at with this. Got that bee. And this one is right inside his little door. Let's have a look. Oh, that does look cute. So this is the point where you could just sit it on the shelf, stand back, have a look at it, see if you think it needs any more than what you've already done, if you want to add something subtle. So we could do that shadowing over the top if we wanted to. So that's what I'll do. And if you're in the Stencil of the Month Club, I always post my pictures up in the group later. So if you're in the Stencil of the Month Club, you'll be able to see what I actually decided, if I decided to do any extra or not. So there's our projects, 2 projects for today. Let me just pop you up and we will choose some winners for our live today. Don't forget to use my code, I Restore Stuff. Grab 10% off anything in the store. Both of the stencil sets today, I did look them up and I believe they were sort of limited quantities. So just if you're wanting to grab those and not miss out, you can pop them in your shopping cart. Here's my code again, I Restore Stuff, save 10%. And let me see if I can lift these up to show you. I'll have to pop this one right here. So this was an upcycled picture frame. We took the glass out and sat the board back into the frame that way. So we'll stick that together and glue it all ready to go. And here is our little home sweet home buzzy beehive. I love it. I like that. And so with these roofs, I could sort of put it forward or you could put it centered. So either way, but if you put it forward, you can kind of put a hook on the back and hang it on the wall also. And it does make a great double-sided sign. So there we go. Our winners today, let me read them out. We've got Robbie, Diane, and Judy. So Robbie, Diane, and Judy, you're our winners today from Essential Stencil. And I won't see you next week, guys. I will really miss you. But guess what? Our family's going away on a ski holiday. Yes, that's Marty in the background getting very excited. We're just going away for 5 days, but that'll mean I'll miss you live. But we will have a substitute person in to replace me for my live next Wednesday night. So don't miss that. And if you want to catch any of the other ambassadors, we are here weekdays. Every weekday there's someone here ready to show you some lives and some DIY projects. So those are our 2 that we did today. Come as you are and the little beehive home sweet home Thank you guys so much, and I will see you not next week but the week after. Follow me on Instagram at iRestoreStuff or on Facebook at iRestoreStuff, and I may even pop some snow pictures up of where we're going next week. See you later. Bye.